So with that, ask for approval of this change order, amount of $24,354.90.
Thanks, Mike. Any questions or comments from Mike?
I'd move to approve.
You have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
The motion and a second, is there any further discussion?
It was good, Mike.
Yeah, nice
Great.
work, nice
Great.
work.
Please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Kaler, Tanya, Coulterman, Miller, Singleton, Streisand, Morgan, 7-0.
Thanks, Mike. Item 5, consideration of a resolution to adopt the revised Title VI implementation plan and ADA policy and assurances for federally funded projects. Greg?
Yep, this is just a requirement of all of our federally funded projects. Our Title VI and 504 ADA policies are just kind of dated, haven't been updated in 10 years plus, and so we're gonna continue to work through this, probably re-up our survey for ADA compliance, and then continue to keep working on that as well. And so that'll be part of it, so we may come back with some projects in the budget year that are specific to ADA, but we do identify ADA compliance within the public system for sidewalks and other things, and so utilizing some funds for that. But we also need to be looking at buildings and public access facilities and stuff like that. Other than that, anything else, Derek?
This was addressed maybe 10 or so years ago, but we thought things have changed over time, so better safe than sorry. Do a new resolution, kind of update everything, and hopefully meet all the requirements they want of us.
Any questions or comments from the council? If not, ask someone to introduce the resolution.
I'll introduce the resolution.
Resolution has been introduced and is designated as resolution number 2024-12. Would anyone like to move that this resolution be passed and adopted?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Kaler, Tanya, Coulterman, Miller, Singleton, Streisand, Morgan, 7-0.
All right, item 6, items related to the purchase of a mower at the Seward Community Golf Course. Greg?
This is just a financing document. This is a budgeted item. We just budgeted to finance it. We go out typically on all our financings and we contact all the banks, and then whoever has the lowest financing rate that day is who we go with. I believe this one was with Jones Bank, and so all the ordinances were ordinances and other financing documents were prepared by Tim Mull in his office.
So item 6A is the first one, right?
Yep.
Consideration of an ordinance approving a lease purchase agreement with Jones Bank for the financing of a Green Master Tri-Flex 3300 hydraulic mower. Sounds amazing. I have no idea what
Do
that
you
means.
need,
I just need someone to introduce the ordinance.
I'll introduce the ordinance.
Alright. An ordinance authorizing a lease purchase agreement relating to the purchase of equipment for use by the City of Seward, Nebraska, authorizing the execution of documents with respect to said lease purchase agreement and providing for the publishing of this ordinance. The ordinance has been read by title and is designated as ordinance number 2024-6, and the title is hereby approved. I need a motion to dispense with statutory rule.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Kaler, Tanya, Coulterman, Miller, Singleton, Streisand, Morgan, 7-0.
This is ordinance number 2024-6. Would anyone like to move that this ordinance be passed and adopted as read?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall ordinance number 2024-6 be finally passed and adopted? Please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Kaler, Tanya, Coulterman, Miller, Singleton, Streisand, Morgan, 7-0.
And this is the only ordinance we have this evening, so I need one final motion to make the ordinance a part of the permanent record.
Also moved.
The motion and a second. Please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Kaler, Tanya, Coulterman, Miller, Singleton, Streisand, Morgan, 7-0.
Alright, item 6B, consideration of a lease purchase agreement with Jones Bank for the purchase of a Green Master Tri-Flex 3300 hydraulic mower and appointment of the mayor and council as purchasing agent. That just requires a simple motion, correct?
That is correct.
Any questions or comments, or would you like to make a motion?
Move to approve.
The motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Rich, did you want to vote on this one?
Let's do that.
Okay. Please display the vote.
Voting in favor, Kaler, Tanya, Coulterman, Miller, Singleton, Streisand, Morgan, 7-0.
Alright, item 7, this is consideration of a resolution to designate city items as surplus. Derek?
Yeah, so, periodically, as I hear about items that department heads want to, dispose of, we put them in our surplus auction. So I have a listing of things from a few different departments, stuff from the golf course, electric department, water, wastewater, and then, street department. So we have all these items. Something new that we did this year that was successful is we listed these items on Purple Wave, and they have government auctions. So previously, we just put it in the newspaper, put it on Facebook, and said, hey, bid on it. And people were getting trucks for like $500 or $1,000. Well, we tried Purple Wave once with some electric equipment and trucks, and typically, you know, like I said, $1,000, $2,000 for a truck. We got like $10,000 because it's more out there. So people are bidding on it from other places.
That's great.
So it's been better for us to make a little bit more money with these sales. So we're gonna list most of these items on Purple Wave. I think the golf ball items like the cooler and golf ball washers, they might not list those on there, so those might still be like a bid at City Hall kind of thing. But everything else is equipment, so they should be able to do it and list it on there, and hopefully we'll fetch some good prices. So I think the auction date's set for April 30th. That's their next government auction. So that's all.
Any questions or comments for Derek? If not, ask someone to introduce the resolution.
I'll introduce the resolution.
Very good. The resolution has been introduced and is designated as resolution number 2024-13. Would anyone like to move that this resolution be passed and adopted?
I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Kaler, Tanya, Coulterman, Miller, Singleton, Streisand, Morgan, 7-0.
Alright, thank you. Item 8, update on the Wellness Center. Welcome, Joel.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So in the last week, not a whole lot of visible things, but one thing that's visible is on the south end of the gym area, the corrugated metal exterior was put up, and you can see that at the top part, and it comes down to where the locker room hallway corridor will start, so it came down to that. As soon as the wind stops, which who knows when that will be, they will start moving to the east side, and we're told that will only take 2 or 3 days to do the whole east side because it's straight pieces. They don't have to cut, don't have to do anything. Then they'll move to the north. Then the west side will be a little tougher because they will have to cut around some structures, and it won't be just straight pieces. So that is what will be what you'll see next. There will be some structural steel I expect in the next couple weeks to go up for Phase D building, which is the 2 classrooms and the hallway, the locker room and hallway corridor in between the pool area and the gym. I expect to see structural steel up for those. That's the last part of the structural steel, and as soon as they get some certain parts in, they will be putting the roof joists up for the pool. They're waiting on a couple different things, but again, they wouldn't be doing that in this wind right now anyway, just because of the danger and just the difficulty with that. Despite some of the wind and some of the days, we are still, they assure us we're still on schedule to see the pool getting dug on April 22nd. And that will be a 2-week process for that. About that is what they have planned, is 2-week process to dig out the pool, but the pool is going to take all the way up till it's finished. There is just a ton of items that are all very short, a week on this, a week on that, and it just goes all the way through the whole construction. So we'll hopefully see that going up. That will be the next physical things that we will be able to see and really get excited about. On April 15th, the parking lot is scheduled to start being poured. Again, that's a Monday, so hopefully, you know, right early that week. But that's really gonna give a lot of structure, and you'll see the space a lot more, but that is scheduled to be done in April. And so with the pouring, we did get bids back. Sampson got bids back on the boulevard, and those came back very, very favorably compared to what was put in the allowance. So much that we were almost questioning, was something missed? because they're so much lower, but between Sampson, Mike, and the landowner's architect, they went through it, and everything was there, and we're in real good shape with that. And so what that means is just smaller bills that we'll have to pay for that. And so that is real good news, because it came back a third of what was Sampson was estimating in the allowance for that. So that was another amazing thing that we didn't necessarily expect, but pretty awesome to hear, because you just never know. And so that will happen later on. That won't happen as soon as the parking lot being poured, but I don't believe we have those contracts back, but Sampson has been authorized to give those contracts, and there's 4 different subcontractors that go into the whole boulevard. It's not just pouring of the cement, so of the concrete. So that was exciting. And then the final very exciting thing, last Friday I got an email from the CCCFF that from a while back I had applied for a grant through Creative District with Jonathan, and we were approved for the grant of $562,000.
Whoa,
So
great.
that was definitely a good Friday. So that's great. We're waiting on the contract. We made them very aware in writing of it, that they knew the project had started, and they knew of the unique ownership of the building that we're in right now, with Seward changing the game, being the owner right now, but that as soon as it's complete, the city will own it. So they've been made aware of that, so we wanted to make sure that, they weren't confused on any of that. But when we get the contract in a month and a half, we'll make sure that all of those things match up, so that sometime later on they don't have a discrepancy and we're all on the same page and we don't do something we're not supposed to. But it all looks pretty good, and so that what happens with that is, once that contract is signed on our part, we can request a disbursement. There's 2 different disbursements, one right away and then one at the end. That would be more of a reimbursement when it's all done. And so I don't know for sure if it's half and half. I haven't seen those terms yet, but getting that money as much as we can early on definitely helps us on the front end, because we will definitely not have to, and especially with some of the other items that we've been saving on, not have to borrow on the construction loan on that draw as early as we first thought, which again is good for everybody. So those are the things that are going on up there. Hopefully we see a little bit more. It really catches people's eye when that building will get enclosed with the corrugated metal exterior. So that will, and so all good things. So any questions?
Any questions for Joel? We really appreciate it. Looks great. We're really excited. So, thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
Next, we'll move on to the city administrator's report.
A number of the items that you saw, a lot of lead up to the Highway 15 project. Coordination, considerable work by Mike, Tim Gorak, Bob, trying to get last minute changes done, changes on the fly, adjustments. I think there was a nice song and dance of long tractor trailers coming down and turning around in old Orchlands and Dollar General and Harold Concrete, and it was just kind of a nightmare. And so they've continued to readjust up at Isaac Walton at that intersection, some of the signage. We may still see some adjustments. If you didn't notice, just because there's so much going in there, the process that they're taking right now is they removed the islands between 5th Street and 6th Street, 6th Street and 7th Street on Highway 34. Partially that's to accommodate moving traffic as they reroute the traffic and push them completely to the north side of the intersection, so they can work through the intersection and then bring them completely to the south side. And then that will stay like that permanently. It will just be painted on after that. Probably to the chagrin of our street department, because now we don't have this island to try and scoop snow over and under and through. So they probably are pretty happy with that. But, and the sign that's out front for the island will be knocked over every time I show up on Monday morning, because that's usually a regular occurrence. So, and DOT doesn't have to come out and replace it once a week. But,
And removing the median has always been the plan for NDOR.
long-term for
I mean,
Highway 30
yeah,
Accord will
for-
be when they readjust
yeah.
the width of 34, but that's
But this kinda gives you a head start, cause it serves a dual purpose by doing it now.
10 to 15 years down the line probably before they'll address 34, I'm guessing, in town. Another one though is in doing that, we saw multiple trucks go off into the area they had cut the island out of today, where we had one that had a tractor trailer full of pigs in it. And it was off in the, but the guys doing the construction were very, you know, they dropped everything and then they just problem solved and figured out ways to move dirt back and build ramps and get it out of there so we didn't have to tow it out. I mean, it was quite the debacle, let alone we were reattaching water mains today, and then one of them blew up in front of neutral grounds and then shut down City Hall, the library, and the post office for water for a considerable amount of time. And so that was fun. We wanted to note today, I think some members of the council were there, but we were awarded the Showcase Community of the Year for Economic Development in the state of Nebraska. So that was all over your Facebook feeds and everything else
You
today.
guys are on the Omaha News.
Whoa.
Hey,
Yeah. Omaha local news.
big time.
Yeah.
But thanks to Jonathan and his staff, I mean, there was a litany of people that are involved in that, but including yourselves, the work that you've done here over the last 5 years is what they looked at, but we know it goes even further than that in preparing ourselves for the rail campus, downtown revitalization, all the other things that we've done to continue to improve Seward and make it a wonderful place to work, play, live, all those things that we love about Seward. And so the governor was on hand, Adjutant General Strong was there, and the mayor made comments, and Jonathan, and just a litany of people to thank. Lots of partners, you can't do it alone. It takes a village, and so a wonderful opportunity to show ourselves off. So thank you for those that attended, and thank the council, and all of the city staff was also recognized for all their work that they do on it. So last but not least, last week was like a lost week. Had to do employee evals. I think I had the most, almost in the whole city, and so we worked through all department head. Everybody did it. All the other department heads also had to do their evals with all their employees, so it all kind of wraps up in 1 week. But it takes a considerable amount of time, and so a lot of time and effort was put into that, and worked through that process and had successful evaluations, and move on to another year of goal setting. And there we go. Answer any questions you have about the admin report.
Parking around.
Yep.
What's gonna happen?
And this might be, I think, for Daryl, for some advice. We had with the Highway 15 project going on, we're getting some complaints about parking, as we always have. But we've obviously eaten up some on the courthouse square. I believe that Councilman Streisand said that he had gotten another contact about employees at the courthouse, parking around the courthouse when it's really tight right now. We've had this conversation before. Partially, we have numerous elected officials with numerous staffs. Each one oversees their individual staff. And so it's kind of hard. I think the best we could do is a unified communication either from the business owners or from the users or anything else to those individual elected officials. And I know many of them that park, you know, I see Sherry park every morning, clear down by the Alps Park every time and walk all the way up. So, but it's really about, I think it's the staffers. And so, I don't know if you can share that, Daryl, but
I will bring it forward.
ultimately it's a little tough because there's just a lot of different little sectors up there that, and again, we'll do our enforcement, but we're gonna catch everybody up in that for 2-hour enforcement, so.
Are we marking tires?
I don't know exactly how we're doing enforcement now.
I think right now it's kind of complaint driven.
Okay. Well, we might wanna, because of the tightness of
Yeah.
all the parking we've lost, we might have
Well,
kick it up a
and,
notch.
and again, you know, we wanna work with the county, and if we, you know, if there are solutions out there, but, you know, we also hear anecdotally that when they do mark tires, I think the county does a really good job of communicating with each other and letting them know that tires are being marked.
There's a network.
And they suddenly go on their break and everybody moves their vehicle over one spot. Or, I'm joking, it probably be 2 spots. And that's no different than when I worked at the legislature. When someone would see someone going by, you send an email to your list and everybody would run out and they would move their vehicle to a different spot. Unfortunately, while it may help the employees with their parking situation, it doesn't help the community as a whole with theirs. And then again, it's complaint driven. We can go out there and start enforcing it very strictly, then we get complaints about writing so many tickets, so then we pull back and we don't write as many tickets, and then we get complaints because there's no parking. So it's kind of a no-win situation on our end, and it's really not a good solution that we can impose. It's really going to come down to, I think, the courthouse and their individual offices, policies, and where they're going to require their employees to park. But obviously it's gonna get tight for a while, and so any help, we really appreciate it if you could pass that along.
Yeah, the compact parking signs are more of full-size vehicles.
Yeah.
It's more mid-size rather than compact.
Well, and I was walking into the meeting tonight, I had a constituent ask if, when Highway 15's closed north of Highway 34, if the buildings on Seward Street could have straight parking instead of slant parking, so people could approach from the east on Seward Street, go straight into a stall, and then back out and go back out towards the east to visit the businesses like Chapters and all those businesses, along the north side and stuff. So that was something that they asked if the city would consider to help those businesses out.
I think that their plan, I asked Mike, I think you'll still be able to get through Seward. They'll do the same phasing, is that correct? There's gonna be some way out, they're not gonna make that a U-turn at the end of that, I don't believe.
Oh, yeah, correct. I mean, I think for a very short period of time, when they pour that intersection, it may be blocked off, but I don't know if they're gonna do it. So the 2 highways, they're gonna do the south half and then 2 quarters on the north side, northeast and northwest. And for Seward Street, I don't know exactly, but the contractor has a plan, very detailed, to kind of minimize the impact, right?
And when you say straight parking, you mean parallel or straight?
Straight in, straight in, so.
The hard part was straight on the bricks. This is my concern, is taking the paint off to repaint them that way. I mean, we can ask people to, but for some reason we can figure out parallel. I think it's because there's snow on the ground and so nobody can see the lines anyways, so they just figure it out. I think you're gonna have a weird hodgepodge. Maybe we could pull it off with some communication, but it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, I brought it up. I was asked to bring it up.
Yep.
So.
You did.
I just, we can't
Focus
paint it
on it.
because we will obliterate the bricks going out there and
Yeah.
ripping that
Let
paint
the
off
record
and
show I
then
brought
painting
it
it
up.
down and then ripping it off again.
Any other questions?
I think a better option, because you may have more width, would actually be parallel, but we're gonna eliminate a ton more parking.
Mhm.
Because parallel, you can turn out and you'll have more radius to turn around and get out of there
Mhm.
versus straight or parallel.
Any other questions or comments for Greg? Otherwise, entertain a motion to accept the
I'll
report.
move to accept the report.
Second.
A motion and a second, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes, please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Taylor, Tanya, Colton, Miller, Singleton, Streisand, Morgan, 7-0.
Alright, do you have any future requests for council agenda items or administrative action? Seeing none, Jonathan Jank, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor.
What's going on in Seward?
Right. Well, thanks again for celebrating today with us. Really just a wonderful time to reflect on all the good things that have gone on. I appreciate the leadership of administration and council over the past 5 years and beyond. Wednesday, April 10th, ribbon cutting for new Little Cubs daycare in Seward. We're estimating they'll be able to create approximately 65 new licensed childcare spots for various age kids, including newborns. We're
Where
really
is that
excited about
at,
that.
Jonathan?
So going south, it's in the DHHS building.
Oh, okay.
Yep, off of Birch, 285th.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, Friday, April 19th and 20th will be the tire collection event in partnership with the county. appreciate that partnership. Marketing materials are coming out via the Blue River Buzz, Facebook posts, and via the Seward County Independent. On that Saturday, April 20th, will be the annual Seward Cleanup Day. We appreciate the ongoing partnership with the city to host it on your horseshoe facility. Marketing materials also coming out via the Buzz, Facebook post, and the Independent. Quick note, again, we're not having the hazardous waste collection this year because it's only an every other year grant. So if constituents have questions, refer them to the marketing materials. Tuesday, April 23rd is a ribbon cutting with AgriFac. If you're not familiar with that company, I sent some details via calendar invite so you can learn more. We're excited for them to grow here as their first location in the United States. And then we're also hoping to schedule that day both ribbon cuttings for WCR, which is a new business on the rail campus, as well as Soder Plumbing, a new small business here in town. You'll see more materials about that coming out here soon. Thursday, April 25th, the annual Business Anniversaries Luncheon with our local companies, celebrating 5-year increment anniversaries. We'll have 5 years up to 160 years and everything in between this year. And you're welcome to join us for that luncheon. May 4th through the 9th will be Seward County Gives. We'll be raising funds to support 40 charitable causes across the county. Please consider promoting this upcoming giving opportunity. And lastly, really encourage you and ask that we bang the drum about shopping local. Especially during this construction period. We started to get some calls from especially downtown businesses that they really need support now. And so just ask that that's just part of the cadence. Of course, you'll be hearing that from the chamber, of course. But we need support as well to encourage constituents and citizens to support our local businesses now more than ever. With that, that's all I have. Thanks, Mayor.
Alright, thank you, Jonathan. Next we have a strategy session.
So I move that the city council go into closed session with the mayor, city administrator, city clerk, and city attorney for the protection of the public interest, and to discuss litigation strategy and to provide the city attorney with negotiation guidance for a period not to exceed 30 minutes.
The motion, is there a second?
Second.
The motion and a second, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Taylor, Tanya, Skolten, Miller, Singleton, Strice, and Morgan, 7-0.
Alright, the council voted to go into closed session at 9:20 PM for the protection of the public interest, to discuss litigation strategy and to provide the city attorney with negotiating guidance. No formal action will be taken. We are in closed session. Thank you, everyone.